Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 7 of the NFL. It's the October 18 edition of Father, Son, and Holy Sport NFL show. Get started Thursday night. Two teams from the South. Jacksonville at the Saints. AFC against NFC. I'm G-Man. That there is T-Money from Cincinnati country.
What's going on, G-Man? Oh, man,
Yeah.
it seems like it's a crazy week. A lot of ups and downs. It seems every week there's a big favorite going down. We had 2 with the Niners and the Eagles lose. Shocking ones. So, hey, the NFL, closer in parity than everyone thinks. It's going to come down to the wire here with all of these teams. No one looks like they're running away with it yet.
Yeah, good points there. Okay, and let's see what happens today, because last time we were kind of agreeing on everything, and we will see if that happens again today. We're starting to coalesce. Well, maybe not. We'll see. Let's talk about that NFC where things kind of tightened up. The 49ers and Eagles, everybody thought were the 2 clear favorites, but now with both of them losing, the Lions and even Dallas back into the conversation in that NFC. So team money, these are the top 4 teams right now. If you look at the favorites to win the NFC, it's those 4 kind of clumping up together. Should the Niners be concerned about Purdy being the long-term answer here?
Yeah, they should be. He was clearly exposed this past weekend. And look, I know everyone wants to talk about the Browns being world beaters. I mean, look, let's pump the brakes on the Cleveland Browns here for a second. Like, I know they're 3-2, but and you look at their schedule, yes, they played the Bengals, and that looks like a good win right now. But Joe Burrow was on one leg and was atrocious in that game. Other than that, they played Kenny Pickett, who had a decent game, Ryan Tannehill, who's not good, and then Lamar Jackson, who cooked them up. 28 points, no question. So maybe statistically they are one of the best, but they're not one of the best defenses we've seen in 50 years. So
certainly one of the best defenses in the league this year.
For sure. And you know what? Patrick Mahomes would have done fine. Lamar Jackson, a great quarterback, he did fine. And so I don't want to hear that this guy's an MVP candidate. I don't want to hear that this guy's an elite top 10 quarterback, because you lose a running back and now all of a sudden you're below average. This guy was exposed, and long term, they're going to have to pay this guy. Long term, they're going to have to give this guy $30+ million because he's going to win because he's with the Niners, and he's going to lose Trent Williams, his left tackle. He's going to lose some of those defensive guys to lean on and carry the team. He's going to lose Christian McCaffrey and one of those great wide receivers of Ayuk or Debo. And he's going to have to carry the team more. And oh my God, it looks like he cannot do that without just only having a tight end and a great wide receiver. I don't want to hear any of this anymore. Brock Purdy's an average quarterback. He's solid, and let's keep it there until he goes and proves that he can play versus a decent defense.
Well, yeah, coming off of that loss, of course, you're making a good point there, but he's still ranked as 5th for the NFL MVP. He was first last week, dropped down to 5 behind all the guys we all know. I told you, though, last week, that they were in trouble at Cleveland.
Yeah.
I told you that game was on 40 total points it was headed toward. San Fran had scored 30 points every game. We're like, what the heck? I don't think they're going to get 30. And they weren't supposed to get 30, and they didn't get 30. And the Browns defense shut them down and shut down Purdy. So is that an anomaly, or is that what we're going to see from Purdy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want my future quarterback losing battles to P.J. Washington. That's where I'm concerned.
P.J. Walker.
Exactly. I don't even know his name. So let's pump the brakes on Brock Purdy talk from now on. The guy has had a good season, but that defense is insane. His offense is the best offensive line skill position combo in the league. Like, I don't want to hear any more of this. Like, eventually he's not going to have these great pieces around him. Like, you can't tell me you put Derek Carr in that position and they're worse. Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, all these guys, everyone agrees would be better than Brock Purdy in that system. So
I don't know about that.
I just can't see it. I'm slowly losing faith.
Yeah, let's don't let one game deter your love for Brock Purdy. And
I never had love.
It's going to start Monday Night Football, San Fran at Minnesota. 49ers come in and Brock Purdy, and they take care of
Yeah,
business.
they're probably going to boat race him. I understand that. But good quarterbacks
Come on, Brock.
overcome when they don't have their best players. Kirk Cousins didn't have Justin Jefferson, went out and won a game. There's players don't play, and these great quarterbacks overcome. He still had Kittle and Ayuk and Trent Williams out there, and this guy looked like a deer in the headlights once he lost Christian McCaffrey. Like, God forbid they lose Christian McCaffrey. They almost won a Super Bowl with Elijah Mitchell and Mostert as their running back. So, like, those guys aren't scrubs, and he loses one running back and all of a sudden looks like a mediocre guy.
Let's give him a chance here. He's a young guy. He's going to get in that situation a few times, and he's going to relax more and more as he experiences it more.
Yep, he'll relax and maybe throw over 50 yards in the second half instead of what he did this past time. Let's move on, though, from Brock Purdy to another shocking loss this past weekend in the Eagles. All right. They lose to the New York Jets in awkward, weird fashion. It was just an odd game. Are you concerned now after that loss for the Eagles going forward?
Yes, I am concerned with the Eagles going forward.
Okay.
To answer your question, yes, I am concerned. But, they were in the Super Bowl last year, just to bring it back a little bit. They beat San Fran, remember, 31-7 in the NFC Championship. But they did it in Philly. Can they get that home field this year? Right now, San Fran has the home field advantage. If Philly does not get that home field, strike one. That's going to be one thing against them. And look at this schedule coming up. I know you probably looked at this too, but the schedule coming up after the Dolphins. Okay, this great Sunday night game coming up with the Dolphins. After that, they play the Commanders. At the Commanders, that won't be easy. Then they play the Cowboys twice. The Chiefs, Bills, and 49ers. Look at that schedule.
And Seattle.
Well, okay. But I'm saying that schedule coming up, they could lose 2 or 3 of those games.
Yeah.
So then where does that put them in the East? And can the Cowboys catch them? Everybody counting out the Dallas Cowboys. But they win their game this week. And now they're in the hunt there for the East, especially when you look at this schedule right here.
No, totally agree. This is maybe one of the hardest 8-game stretches you're going to see in football. Like, this is to go Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas. That is a crazy 4-game stretch. If they go 4-4 in this stretch here, you got to be happy, right? Like, because they finish out with New York, Arizona, New York, so they should be fine there. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very hard stretch. This is going to really show you who this new Eagles team is with their new defensive coordinator, the new offensive coordinator, because clearly things are not clicking right. And so they did what they had to do. They won a lot of ugly games. They won 5 in a row. And they did what they needed to do. They didn't have any slip-ups until this Jets game. So they put themselves in position, at least, to be in contention for that 1 seed. They play the Niners themselves, which is a team that's also going after that. So that's a big one for the tiebreaker potentially. They did what they needed to do in the beginning of the year, but this is a little concerning. They don't look like the same juggernaut. You'd think things clicked and, they went out and signed Julio for some reason. Maybe they're not trusting Devontae Smith as much as they thought they were. It's been a little weird with the Eagles this year. They've won, but it just hasn't looked right.
Yeah, and Julio just announced today. Julio Jones just brought on there. So they're making moves, trying to recover here. They just kind of look clumsy in every game.
Yeah.
But they've been winning. They've been winning until this one, and they don't get it. And now they've got several losses probably coming up, and they're probably losing that 1 seed. 49ers are in the 1 seed slot. Remember, the 49ers and Eagles have both lost to AFC teams, so they have the tiebreaker edge when you start looking versus, some of the teams that have losses in the NFC.
Yeah.
So, man, they don't get that home field, they're in trouble. Now, their defense is really going to be a big question this Sunday night. The big game. Could it be a Super Bowl preview? Dolphins at the Eagles this Sunday night. And the Eagles have 15 defensive backs that have played for the Eagles this year so far. 6 undrafted first or second year guys that have played defensive back for the Eagles. It's the most in team history with 11 games to play. So 5 of them have never played a defense snap in the NFL before, and now they're coming up against the Dolphins, this Sunday night, NFL's number one passing game, NFL's number one offense. They're coming up against them with these defensive backs. This is going to be a shootout, man. They're going to have to outscore them.
Yep. Yep. It's going to be a hell of a game. This is a big test for that Eagles offense.
Hey, let's give a little shout out T-Money to Blue Tees Golf, blueteesgolf.com. Find affordable, high quality golf products. Hey, get the swing ready for spring, man. You like a little rhyme? G-Man rhyming this morning here, Wednesday of week number 7. Just enter the code FSHS. Get a 10% discount on your full order. Let's move over T-Money to the AFC. Talk a little bit about the NFC. How about the AFC and talk about one of the leaders in that conference? Looking right now at these teams in the AFC and looking at the offenses, you're looking at the Bills. They were second in the NFL last year. Their offense behind Kansas City. They've dropped off a little bit now. Should we be nervous about them?
Yeah, because these the lines that they've put up are worse than it looks. The past 2 weeks, this offense has had 7 points in both their games with 5 minutes left. This is supposed to be one of those offenses that you're like, hey, it might be a roller coaster. Josh Allen might throw some picks, but we're still going to put up 25, 30 points a game. We're going to be the most explosive offense. Hey, we might have some holes on defense in the playoffs like we have in the past, but our offense can carry us. We're an offensive juggernaut. And they just haven't looked like that this year. And so that is concerning for me. I mean, I'm a little nervous right now if I'm the Buffalo Bills fan. The offense hasn't looked the same. Don't let the score versus the Jags fool you. They threw a couple last-second touchdowns when they were down by 14 in the second half. And the Giants, what the hell are you doing? You can only put up 14 points on the New York Giants. I mean, that would have been an atrocious loss. I mean, name me the team that loses to both New York teams. My God, you consider yourself a Super Bowl contender? I'm not sure I can, because this offense does not look right, and the defense has lost star after star. They lost Matt Milano, one of the best linebackers. They lost White. They lost White, their defensive back, who's an all-pro as well. This defense is just getting slimmer and slimmer by the day. I believe they lost one of their D tackles. So yeah, I'm very concerned, because not only is this defense, who's supposed to be good during the regular season, looking leaky, now this offense hasn't looked the same as it has in the past. Just not as explosive as we remember.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you here. I'm a little nervous about their offense. And, I think that their defense has been their edge in this division right now, especially when you compare them to Miami.
Yeah.
But their offense cannot hang with Miami. I think what's really bringing out, when you look at the AFC East, it used to be Buffalo dominating. They've dominated this division. Miami was down below them, and now Miami has uncorked this unbelievable offense that everyone's looking at, and their offense has passed Buffalo, way past them. The only saving grace is Miami's defense is not that good. And I think that could hurt him in the end in this division. But Buffalo's in for a fight in this division with Miami, and they're going to have to be more effective on offense. I do like some of the things that they are doing. When I look at their receiving core, I mean, he just looks for Stefan Diggs every time he throws the ball. It's ridiculous. But Diggs is so good. He catches it, and he can still make things happen. Diggs is unbelievable. And he's just so motivated. I love Diggs' motivation. And Allen, he's just trying to get him the ball. But they have targeted Gabe Davis. Looking at the targets for these receivers, 66 targets for Diggs, 30 targets for Gabe Davis, 25 for Dawson Knox. And now we got Dalton Kincaid. He's injured with a concussion, but he'll be back. He's at almost 20. So they have reinforced this core. Gabe Davis getting more targets. Dalton Kincaid now helping. I think the receiving core is a little bit better. So I think that's a good position. Cook's great at the running back position. So I think they got some weapons there to make this offense better.
Yeah. I mean, look, the big one's going to be at the Dolphins at the end of the year. That might be for the division and who gets to be a home team in the playoffs. They played well versus the Dolphins. I would give them a lot of credit. 48-20. They murdered the Dolphins the last time they played them when everyone was high on those Dolphins. But like I said, the defense has lost some of their key pieces. And if this offense is going to struggle, you can't struggle versus Miami. They clicked well the last time they played Miami, and I'm not faulting them. They played great. But the last few weeks, I don't know what's going on. Maybe they can only get up for the big games, but that's a little concerning. So just got to keep an eye out for that one.
Well, Bills at the Patriots. Patriots struggling. This is Sunday at 1:00, and Bills favored big by 8.5.
Yep. Well, speaking of the Patriots, what are they going to do here? Mac Jones not looking great. They lose to the Raiders, Josh McDaniels. Is it time for the Patriots to move on from Mac Jones finally, G-Man?
Well, to who they're going to move to? Who's better than Mac Jones? The problem's bigger than Mac Jones. This is my weekly leadership emphasis point. We need a name for my weekly leadership lesson.
Yes.
G-Man's weekly leadership lesson. This is bigger than Mac Jones. This is right to the guy at the top, maybe even the owner, but certainly Belichick. This organization, before we even started the year, had trouble. And they said they had a plan to fix it. And they bring in a new offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien. Wasn't he supposed to be the guy that was going to turn this around after the ridiculous double coordinator move by Belichick last year, which could have got somebody else fired for doing two coordinators, and neither of them were an offensive guy. And then he comes back and puts Bill O'Brien in, who's supposed to be the mentor for Mac Jones. And now we're going to blame Mac Jones. What about Bill O'Brien? What about Bill Belichick? Well, I'm starting at the top of this organization. What did they do before this year to change it around, and why aren't they hitting their goals?
Yeah, it's really weird because, we all remember Mac Jones played pretty decent his rookie year. It was not bad. And they just look atrocious now. And Bill O'Brien's stock has dropped drastically. I thought he'd come in and at least make this offense competent. They just don't have a single elite playmaker anywhere. They don't have it at running back. They don't have it at receiver. The receiving core is atrocious. I don't think any receiver on that receiving core would be picked up if they were cut by waivers. Like, this might be Juju Smith-Schuster's last stop. Like, this is horrible.
Well, that was their big move in the offseason. Juju's coming in. He's going to lead this wide receiver core, show the guys what to do. He's been a non-factor.
He's been a non-factor. And what's frustrating is, for Patriot fans, Jacoby Myers got the same deal. He just got it from the Raiders. Why couldn't you pay that guy? That guy looks like a competent wide receiver too. But yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one because Mac Jones has been so bad. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Go see what you have and maybe Bailey Zappi for a few games. Give him the full reins and see if he, sparks some life. But if I'm a Patriots fan, guys, just ride this thing out with Mac. Trust me here. No. You don't know where I'm going with this, though, because you will lose every game because he knows how to throw interceptions to the other team really well. But this may land you Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
so that's
where I thought you were going.
Take a deep breath.
That's where I thought you were going.
Think about what Mac Jones could get you. He might gift you the first overall pick. Mac Jones might give you the first pick. So just ride this train. I know they're used to winning, but could you imagine Caleb Williams with Bill Belichick? Holy shit.
Well, so, right now,
boys, Mac Jones might gift you the best gift in the NFL's had in the last 10 years.
Yeah, well, right now, Denver has a tiebreaker edge over New England for the first pick, at least in the AFC. I'm looking at the 1-5 records in the AFC, and New England's got a tiebreak based on best win percentage in conference games. But then over Carolina's 0-6. So Carolina's even worse than that. And there's 3 teams in the NFC at 1-5. So they got some competition for that.
They do, but
pick. And
you never know.
They have their offense is ranked last in the NFL in points per game. And as you said, only the Vikings have more turnovers than New England. They've got 10. So we'll see what happens here. I don't think they should go down this path of this Mac Jones, get that whole quarterback thing. I think it's bigger than that. I think they got to talk to Belichick and put the pressure on him.
For sure.
Hey,
I
let's
agree.
go on. Let's talk about someone else in that AFC. Ravens continue to hang around. Team Money. They're up, they're down, but they're always near the top. Right now, they're ranked third in the playoff scenario at 4-2. What do you think? Are the Ravens Super Bowl contenders?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. This is an interesting team, man. Like they're always injured. Someone seems to always be injured. I know
Yeah.
everyone's going to talk back to the Steelers' loss. Look, they just beat Lamar Jackson. It's a weird thing. It's in division. They just beat Lamar Jackson. They had 1,000 drops. They controlled that Titans game this past weekend the whole time. They beat the Browns, who have this vaunted defense, 28-3 with Deshaun Watson. And the Bengals win looks better and better. They did that at the Bengals. The Texans win now looks like a decent win. Like they've played a lot of decent teams here. The Colts with Anthony Richardson, they lost too. That was a tough loss. But they have a decent schedule coming up. And this team is proving to me that Lamar Jackson can be a decent passer. Zay Flowers looks like he's really brought a different level to this offense of how explosive he is. The defense is always solid. I like this team a lot. I mean, they're right now the third team in the AFC. So I like what they're doing. They look like a solid contender. I think the clear top two are Kansas City, Miami. But if you're going to ask me who's the third best team, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Bengals, I like Baltimore. So
Hey, everybody worried about Lamar last week. He was throwing his helmet. I told you this team needed to go to Europe to regroup, and they were going to grind out a win in London. That's just what they did, 24-16 against the Titans. They grind out the victory like they do so many times. And now we got kind of a little, I'm going to call it a mini Super Bowl matchup here, Team Money, this weekend. The Lions at the Ravens. Hey, man, two teams that are kind of just beyond the bubble there, but at the top. That'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, it will be. That's a good point. These are both teams that everyone kind of thinks, are you the third best team in your conference? And so we don't care about you. That's kind of where like no one's really talking about these guys as true contenders when it comes down to it. So this is a big one. I agree with you.
Yeah, the over-under has really dropped down to 41 now on that one. And this is going to be another one of those Raven games when I think the Ravens grind this out and get the victory in kind of their typical fashion like they always do.
Yep, it'll be a good game. This will be a big check, a reality check with both teams.
Hey, let's move on to Big Bets, Team Money. Let's do us all a favor. Press that like and subscribe, y'all. Let's move on to the Big Bets and see what you got going for your picks this week. We're going to help you out and help you win some cash, baby. Team Money, let's go on and let's talk first about our lock of the week, and then we're going to talk about our dog lock, Team Money, and then we'll have some other things for you too. Father Son Sports 20-7 this year. That includes accuracy against the spread and prop bets. Team Money, we're pretty hot this year.
Pretty hot.
Let's go to our lock pick of the week, Team Money.
All right, give me the Niners -6.5 versus the Vikings here. Niners are pissed. Everyone's talking about how Brock Purdy sucks. The Vikings are without Justin Jefferson and just don't have the offensive firepower. They only scored 19 on Chicago without Justin Jefferson, and that defense is nothing, special. Imagine them versus Niners defense. I don't know if they're going to get to 20 again, and I think the Niners are just going to come in and blow them out just to put everyone back on the map. So don't be surprised if they run up this score, get Brock Purdy a few more touchdown passes to build his confidence too.
So that's a Monday night game there. What line you got on that one?
-6.5.
You got 6.5 on your Okay. I got you down. Team Money on the lock with San Fran. So you do love Brock Purdy after all, Team Money. I'm glad to see you do that.
Big Brock Purdy fan.
Hey, let's go to Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington for G-Man's lock of the week, where the Cardinals come into town to face the Seahawks. Team Money, the Cardinals have gotten beat up in the AFC West pretty consistently. And did you know that Arizona is just 1-10 against the spread in its last 11 division matchup? This includes one-sided losses this year, including 17-point loss of the Rams, 19-point loss of the Niners. This line's only 7.5. Can Seattle cover the spread? Well, yes, T-Money. Seattle's 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games against Arizona. Give me the Seahawks to light up the Cards on Sunday for my lock pick of the week.
All right. Going to be a good one. I'm going to go to another big game this weekend, and that's the Dolphins versus the Eagles. And I'm taking the Dolphins +2 to win this game outright. I like the Dolphins here. Their offense just looks explosive. The Eagles, the past few weeks, have just not looked good. They were close versus the Commanders. The Rams, they barely beat, 23 points. They just didn't look like they were, the same there. And then the Jets, they lose. It seems they're trending in the wrong direction right now. These Dolphins are hot. Their defense is hot. Their run game is crazy with Mostert right now. I think they can shock everyone here. I know it's at Philadelphia or it's at the Dolphins. Sorry.
Yeah. It's in Philly. It's in Philly. So it's going to be a tough one. And Philadelphia is probably just going to run the hell out of the ball to keep it out of Tua and that offense hands. But they just haven't looked the same. The Eagles got to go prove it to me right now. That offense looks out of whack. And so we'll see what happens here. But I just can't imagine the Dolphins leaving without a win here. They're just going to put up 35 points, and I'm not sure that Philly can do that right now. Yeah. Okay. So Dolphins, I got 2.5 here, team, and I'll give you 2.5.
Okay, give it to me.
I'm seeing 2.5 right now. But I don't know, man. I don't know. You may need those points. I like this guy behind me to bring it home here and keep this Eagles team on track. I'm going to go for my dog lock to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. The Steelers coming into town 4 p.m. Sunday to face the Rams. Watch out for Pittsburgh, T-Money. I said this several weeks ago. When you call them a dog, they've won 4 straight games outright as an underdog. And as a dog of 3 points or less, the Steelers are 14-3-1 against the spread. And in 14 of those 18 games, T-Money, they won the game outright. They beat the Browns this year in that very situation. Give me the Steelers +3. I'm going to take that 3. I want that big 3 there against the Rams for my dog lock pick of the week.
All right. G-Man likes him. We're going to see what the Steelers and that Matt Canada offense can do. But let's move on to everyone's favorite betting section here, and that's G-Man's player prop of the week. What you got for us, G?
Did I call it for you last week? 2 of 2 on the player props. I told you CD Lamb. He props it out, baby. 7 catches for 117. Also gave you Kyron Williams to score a touchdown. 158 yards and a touchdown for Kyron. Woo. 2 for 2 last week, man. Hey, this week I got 2 more for you. Going to that shootout that we know is going to happen, Philly and Miami. And, of course, the props are higher because of that. I'm going to A.J. Brown here, man. A.J. Brown, 82 receiving yards is what I got this morning on his prop. It's Wednesday right now, so keep that in mind on all of our advice. He's been over 125 yards, T-Money, 4 straight games, and it's only 82. And in their loss over the Jets, Hurts threw 40 passes. A lot of passes going up here. This shootout's going to happen. AJ's going to be right in the middle of it. Bet over on receiving yards for AJ. The second prop, Kenneth Walker, Seattle, playing at home. Arizona's coming in. I told you I like Seattle in this game, and I like Kenneth Walker. Anytime touchdown. You can bet straight up like that. The odds 125 to 100. So anytime touchdown for Ken Walker, you make a little bit of money there. Walker scored a touchdown in 4 straight games. The Cardinals' run defense, T-Money, has allowed 5 touchdowns so far, 5th most in the NFL on the rushing. So they're going to give up the rushing touchdown. I think Seattle scores 3 touchdowns on Sunday against Arizona, and one of them, at least one of them, is going to be Kenny Walker.
All right. We'll see what G-Man does this weekend. I like it.
Let's see what we do. All right. Thank you. Okay, let's go to fantasy. Let's talk some fantasy with our fantasy managers. How y'all doing in your fantasy leagues, man? How about your DFS, your daily lineups? How you doing in daily fantasy? Let's see how we're doing. We got 6 teams on buys this week. Keep that in mind. I know some of you are looking around for players. Got the waiver wire this morning. We got 4 teams on bye in the AFC: Cincinnati, the Jets, Houston, and Tennessee. And in the NFC, only 2 teams on bye: Carolina and Dallas. So we're here to get you ready for that. 3 games for you to get you ready, hot and cold. Take or mistake, and our DFS plays. Let's go to hot and cold. G-Man's going to give you the hot players you should get in your lineups. T-Money, they're going to tell you the cold players are going to break your back if you put them in your starting lineup. Let's start with the quarterbacks, T-Money. A quarterback for the hot. I'm going to that Seattle game. Notice my consistency, how everything weaves together, T-Money. I'm going Geno Smith here for my hot quarterback of the week against Arizona in Seattle. He's not playing great lately, but I love this setup. I think Geno gets it right here. He threw 41 passes last week, so a lot of volume here. He threw for 300 yards in 3 of 5 games, but he's just not getting the touchdowns. He's only $6,000, T-Money. I couldn't pass that up. I'm going with Geno Smith as my upside quarterback hot pick of the week.
All right. All right. Give me Kirk Cousins as my cold quarterback of the week. Projected 15.7 versus the Niners. I know the Niners defense is going to be upset, ready to rumble. They're third versus QBs in fantasy football this year. I know Kirk is number 8 overall QB. You might not have any better options, but you might want to look somewhere else this week because even the last few weeks, not even versus this team, Kirk Cousins has been over 10 points one time in the last 3 weeks. So he's not been the same guy these past few weeks. And so if you're looking around and for some other options, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, things like that, I like all those guys much better than Kirk Cousins in the same area.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, T-Money. Let's go to running back. I'm going with that Kenny Walker. I talked to you about Kenny in the player prop. In that Seattle game, Walker rushed 19 times for 62 yards and a touchdown Sunday. They lost to the Bengals, you remember, but he also caught 3 passes. Walker's now found the end zone 4 consecutive games, 6 total touchdowns. I like his value on DraftKings most of all, $7,000. So he's not going in that top, really expensive range. You can get him for $7,000. So get him in your DFS lineup. Kenneth Walker, upside running back hot pick of the week.
All right, G. All right. My cold running back of the week is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. I know everyone's hot on him because David Montgomery is banged up, and he's projected 15.7 versus the Ravens. The Ravens are a decent team versus the run, and he is coming off of an injury, and he's more of a pass catcher than just like a pure banger, right? So I'm a little nervous about him. He's only averaged 9.7 this entire season, right? And I just don't see how he's going to get here without a touchdown, without a bunch of catches. I mean, right now they're projecting 80 yards and a touchdown, or and a few catches. Like that's a lot. And the past 2 out of the last 3 weeks, the Ravens haven't allowed a running back total group to go over 16 points. So they are getting better versus the run. Tennessee ran all over him, but that's Derrick Henry. So let's calm down on Jahmyr Gibbs here. He's got to go prove it to us. He has not been the elite fantasy option we thought yet. So I'm a little cold on him until he proves it to me.
Yeah, those first 4 weeks, his fantasy points were 8, 13, 9, and 9. So only over double digits one time out of 4 before he got hurt with the hamstring. Hey, I'm going over to the wide receivers here and wide receiver play for the week. I'm going A.J. Brown in that shootout against Miami on Sunday night. I like Brown here. He had 7 receptions on 9 targets for 131 in that Jets game. 4th consecutive game with 125 or more receiving yards. And his DraftKings number this week is relatively low, I think, for his caliber, $7,900. So he is my big play for DFS. Look for him to be featured against the Dolphins team money. A.J. Brown, my upside wide receiver, hot pick of the week.
All right. I like it. They're going to be a shootout. My cold wide receiver of the week here is Michael Pittman Jr. All right. He's projected for 14 points versus the vaunted Browns defense. He's actually ranked 14th as well in wide receivers this year. So he's getting hot. He's playing well. He's averaging almost 15 a game. But this is maybe one of the better defenses in the league, if not the best defense. Minshew is not about to carve this defense up, right? I mean, he was struggling versus Jacksonville through 3 picks. I know Michael Pittman was targeted 14 times at 110 yards. I just don't see how versus this defense, who's got elite corners compared to Jacksonville. Minshew had 3 picks. They're going to get pressure compared to that Jacksonville front. This is a bad matchup overall for everyone playing. And unless he scores a touchdown, and I don't see it, even with the targets getting 14 points versus Browns defense.
Yeah, and he's only had 1 touchdown in 6 games. So far this year. So not getting the touchdowns this year, but yeah, good point there, Team Money. Good picks. They're good advice from Team Money. Let's get another piece of advice from Team Money in our game. Take or mistake. I pick a player that had a big week. Team Money tells me whether we should take the bait and bet on him this week, or would that be a mistake? And Team Money, I'm going to give you one of your favorite guys to pick on here and see what you think. Quarterback Dak Prescott from Dallas. Dak threw for 272 and a touchdown, no interceptions, led a game-winning 14-play drive, Team Money, late in the 4th quarter. Cowboys beat the Chargers Monday night. He also rushed, Team Money. I told you last week that he had to start running. He ran for 40 yards and a touchdown, so he got that going. Team Money, is Dak a take as a fantasy start in week 7 versus the Rams? After this week, in week 8, they've got to bye this week. Is Dak a take after the bye in week 8 against the Rams, or would that be a mistake?
Oh man, I am gonna say that's a mistake. He's only averaged 14 points a game. I know a lot of those were blowouts, and so he wasn't necessarily needed. But I'm just not sold that even Mike McCarthy likes Dak Prescott. And so, like, they're just holding him back. You know, he had a rushing touchdown, and that's what really bumped up his numbers. If he didn't have that rushing touchdown, this would have been a different stat line here, you know, right? He would have had 18 points instead of 24. I'm not sold on him. I'm not sold on him. Okay. I think there's bigger upside plays. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson in that area. I'm not sold on Dak yet until he does it more consistently.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know, if you were sold on him yet. Dallas, of course, in that battle now that we talked about early in the show with Philly to try to win that East. Can Dak get him going and get him back? Hey, want to go back to talk? Last item is our daily fantasy sports, our DFS daily lineup for you this week. I'm going to give you at quarterback, Geno Smith. I already talked about all these guys. Geno Smith, I stack him with Ken Walker at the running back, like Seattle in that game. I'm going to go Ramondre Stevenson for New England for the price, $5,600, and he had a big game last week. He could do it again. Same with Drake London, only $5,100, and Drake was one of the top receivers last week. So these guys are great value and could explode. I got A.J. Brown at the receiver, Terry McLaurin with him at tight end, going Mark Andrews. I think Baltimore is going to throw the ball against Detroit to Mark Andrews. Nice safe throw for Lamar, and he's only $5,700. I'm going to flex Zach Evans from the Rams, the waiver wire guy, and go with the Jags defense against New Orleans, what should be a really slow-scoring game, and the Jags facing probably not a great quarterback.
All right. Let's see what G-Man does.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, let's wrap up the show. Good show, Team Money. Thank you to our sponsor, Blue Tees Golf. Go to blueteesgolf.com. Check out the merchandise for golf. Enter our code FSHS. Get a 10% discount. You can also check out Father, Son, and Holy Sport.com. Get some merchandise like we're looking at here, man. Father, Son Sports is here to support you. We're here to bring you the energy and to bring you into week 7. On behalf of Team Money, I'm G-Man. See you next week.
All right. Peace.